The Horror with your host with the most, Jenna, as always. Welcome back. So I have a pretty special treat for you guys. I'm actually making this sort of like a partial tag video, but I'm not going to be tagging really anyone specific. If you guys want to kind of do this, more than welcome to do it. Plus, this is something that I think a lot of you guys are really going to enjoy. I got a list of questions here. That really kind of, at least for me, made me really kind of think more than a normal kind of, horror question or movie question type of video. So, but this is something that I did not actually create myself. So, but bear with me. Let me give you a little bit of backstory. This was actually sent to me by a coworker of mine. From work, obviously, Adam, who is, he works in a neighboring department of mine, from mine. He works in produce, so we're, like, always, like, we're right next to each other all the time, always kind of, like, having conversations and stuff. And, a couple weeks ago, he had actually asked me a question, which is on here, and I will point it out, hopefully, when I get to it, I'll point it out to which one he actually, asked me initially, and kind of created this whole thing. So, but yeah, he had asked me a question. It was a really good question, and I was like, hey, you know what? If you want, and if you have the time, well, obviously he has the time right now, so, but he, I told him, go ahead, make a list of, like, questions, whatever you want to ask me, and I'll have fun with it. I'll have fun with this. And put in a little context, because I know there's a couple of questions in here, that I know he kind of asked, like, specifically of, like, for younger people like himself. Keep in mind that, he is a true youngin'. He is 19, is going to college and stuff, so he literally, like, and I do not, like, I can't even make this up, literally, and I can't believe I'm at this age, but he literally could have been my kid. Like, that's the age difference between us. I would have been a fairly young mother if I had him, but yeah. So, but just to give you guys kind of like a context where some of these questions are coming from, in case if you're like, well, how old is this kid? How much younger is he? Like I said, there's like, 17 years between us, so that's a good generation gap. But anyway, enough of me jabbering, and just so you guys know, this is obviously going to be a long video, so go ahead, put me on, and do some stuff that, you need to get done. You don't have to necessarily watch the space. You guys know I don't do anything special with my videos that you have to watch. So anyway, but first question up that he asks, favorite movie of all time and why? There's a lot of movies that I love, a lot. But one that I would have to go for, is Stand By Me from 1986. I know I've talked about that movie before. I believe that was my number one favorite non-horror movie of all time when I did that a few years ago. But no, I remember seeing this movie at a pretty young age, and it had pretty big impact on me. And as I've gotten older with this movie, it's really kind of struck me in certain ways, especially with that last line of the movie of something to the extent of, I never had friends like I did when I was 12. Jesus, does any of us? That, for me, like, when I would see that scene or read that line when I was a kid, I was like, what? I don't get it. But like I said, as I've gotten older, I'm like, the impact of that line just speaks volumes. So, but yeah. So, numero 2, favorite horror movie of all time. I know you guys are probably thinking, why didn't you pick a horror movie? So this is another kind of difficult one, because there's a lot of different horror movies that I love, like Friday 13th, Halloween, whatnot. And also, too, I'll be honest, and I know some of you guys, too, are kind of like this, too, where sometimes it kind of depends on the day and the mood that you're in, because I know sometimes there are some days where there might be a movie that you absolutely love that you just love a little bit more. Next day, it could be another movie that you just kind of need that in your life at the moment. So it kind of depends. But for me, I would have to say my favorite horror movie of all time. May be a surprise to some, may not be a surprise to some. No, it's not Sleepaway Camp. I'm sorry, Jen and Christian. That's a close second, though. That is a close second. But I would have to say Candyman. And I should give a warning. I don't know if it's because I've got Candyman on the brain because of like all the Candyman news and everything, of it being pushed back when it's coming out and stuff. So you're going to hear Candyman quite a bit in here. I don't know why I just did that. I don't know. But I would have to say Candyman, the original Candyman from 1992. Just everything about that movie, whether it's the score, the performances, how it was written and everything. And I love the fact that and you know, this might be another reason why I do love it so much is because of the urban legends aspect and how they kind of use that aspect of the movie to really give a backstory, and or at least what we have in the first one. I know the second one definitely goes more into almost like humanizing Candyman a lot more, which I know he technically was. He was a slave, or no, a painter and everything back in the day. So I mean, he was like a for the movie's sake, a real person. It wasn't like some weird entity or something. But I feel like this one, it really kind of gave him like sort of like the more of like the backstory, made him more menacing and threatening, and how that just his sort of backstory and mythos and everything sort of ran, you know, like Cabrini Green and the surrounding areas, and how anything would happen, it was Candyman's fault, and just all this kind of stuff. You know, I know I kind of like did a hack job of explaining it, but the way that Bernard Rose, who directed the movie, the way that he shot and everything, and like I said, with like the score and everything else, it just, every time I see it, it gets me every time. Plus, it kind of still creeps me out a bit. So that's how effective that movie is. So, but anyway, should horror movies that rely on jump scares alone really be considered horror? What about a movie that has no jump scares but instills a sense of stress and anxiety? That is our question number 3, and this is a great question. This is definitely one of those that kind of like stumped me a little bit, because I was trying to do a lot of thinking of like different movies that had, you know, both over an abundance of jump scares, which is so many movies, especially now. I know that's one of the biggest gripes about horror movies these days. But like, you know, between that, movies that kind of use jump scares like correctly, to movies that had absolutely none. And keep in mind, dude, I've only had dudes. I just called you guys dudes. I'm sorry. Keep in mind, I've only had this list for like not even a week. So I was really trying, and I actually was supposed to have this video up like on Friday, so I kind of extended it a little bit, but I wanted to get this out, so, but it's like, I was trying to like really rack my mind. I mean, there's certain movies that did come to mind, such as like Alien, or like Exorcist 3, where there are some jump scares, but, well, with the exception of Exorcist 3, with that one jump scare that gets me every time. Those were types of movies that kept coming to mind, where it was so minimal, to almost to the point where, especially like Alien and like Aliens and everything, where, like I said, I know there's those jump scares and everything, but some of those jump scares aren't the first things that come to my mind. Sometimes I have to actually think like, oh my god, that's right, those movies have jump scares. Like, those were so effective of having that tension, having that suspense, building your anxiety, that those couple of jump scares sometimes, like I said, at least for me, forgot that they were in the movie. So I think it depends on how, well, first off, let me answer the questions. I say yes to both questions, to both if they rely too heavily on jump scares, because unfortunately it's still a horror movie. They just need to better execute them in a lot of these movies. And number 2, with the, you know, what about if a movie relies more on, like, the tension and the suspense and everything? I still think it's a horror movie. It's still considered a horror movie. Plus now, I feel like there's so many more people doing horror movies, and it's not traditional horror, that I think, you know, there's more things that you could be doing that can be classified as horror. So answering those finally, but no, it kind of, it just kind of stinks with jump scares and stuff, because like I said, a lot of movies, especially more recently, not to be like a bashing current movie person. I was gonna say critic. I'm not really a critic. I just know what I like. I'm just saying. I'm not a professional. Let's just say that. But no, I think, like I said, if you have a good jump scare, such as, like I said, Exorcist 3, where it's that one jump scare, and I know there's a few other jump scares in that movie, but that is one. You talk to anyone who has seen that movie at least once, and they will bring up that jump scare. So I think what it is, it's basically, we should have jump scares and stuff. We shouldn't necessarily be over relying on them, but you need to make them count and do them correctly. So I'm just saying. So, God, I was thinking about this. This would be like, if any of you guys want to do this, because I kind of want to do this, but I'm horrible at like figuring this stuff out. This would be one of those things that would be a good like fun podcast or live stream. I'm just saying. So if one of you guys want to do that, dude, I'm just saying. So next one, which is number 4 here, is the question that kind of started this whole questionnaire. So number 4, greatest antagonist. Hang on a second. Greatest antagonist or villain in a film or series. So initially, when I told Adam, like I said, this was the question that he had asked. I literally was like, Candyman. And I'm gonna kind of partially go with Candyman because it's the horror answer to this question. But as I was kind of like thinking about this and everything, and I don't want to give too much away about this movie, because if I said too much about it, I would be spoiling a lot. And I know it's an older movie, but I know a lot of people, or not a lot, I should say not everyone has seen this movie. But I would have to say greatest villain or antagonist in a movie, Kaiser Soze from The Usual Suspects. Yeah, fight me on it. Just say it. No, but I mean, honestly, there's so many great antagonists and villains out there and everything. Herbert West, right? Yeah, Herbert West from Reanimator. I mean, that is a great antagonist. So I mean, there's definitely a lot of great villains and everything. But for me, like I said, Kaiser Soze, I feel like he does not get enough credit as a great villain. Like, he does come up, but I feel like more people need to talk about him. I'm just saying. Numero 5, we go from villains to the heroes. Number 5, greatest antagonist or hero in a film or series. Now, I know this is one, I feel like, there's nothing wrong with this. I know a lot of people do this. A lot of really common answers are going to be like Ash Williams from Evil Dead, Ripley from the Alien franchise. There's so many great protagonists and everything. There's so many. But now hear me out on this. Because as soon as I say this name, you're gonna be like, but that's technically the villain. Hang on, you guys. Hang on. Sorry, allergies. But anyway, so I know a lot of guys are gonna be like, that's the villain. Hear me fuck out. I'm saying Mrs. Voorhees from Friday the 13th Part 1. Yeah. If you've never seen that movie and you didn't realize that she was the killer, but yeah, no, I have to go with Pam Voorhees. Why do you ask? Because let me tell ya, like, I don't have kids, but if I did, and that shit happened to my son, I'd make sure that camp didn't get opened again. I'm just saying. Sorry, I feel like I have a hair. But yeah, like, who would not do that? I'm just saying, who, your kid unjustly drowned because the counselors are off boning and everything, even though that was like 1958. I didn't realize they were like boning each other quite yet. I thought free love was more in the 60s. I know people were boning back then, okay? Little delinquents. I mean, perfect example, a few years ago, my nephew, who, God, he was probably, I would say, like 7 or 8, around there at the time. And let me tell you, something happened with him and a dog. Let's just say the poor dog is no longer with us, and my nephew has a nice gnarly scar on his face. This situation included pretty much all family. I wanted to go and kill every freaking one of them. Let me tell you. I didn't, though, because you know what? I do love my family. It was an unfortunate event, but that's the closest I have ever gotten to pulling Mrs. Voorhees. I'm just saying, dude. But it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, I totally understand where she's coming from. So in my eyes, I'm kind of like, she's really not a villain. She isn't. She was just doing justice for her son, like anyone would. Even me, who, I don't want kids. I would do that for my kids. Hell, I almost did that for my nephew. Just saying. But anyway, number 6. If you could only choose 3 classic movies, which would you suggest for youngsters like me? Now, keep in mind, like I said, he is 19. So one that I kind of have to do as like an honorable mention, would have to be Black Christmas, the original Black Christmas from 1974. So Adams, 1974 Black Christmas. Okay. Not the 2006 one, not the most recent one from last year, the OG. That's an honorable mention. I had to put that one in there. You guys know I love that one. But for my 3, I was gonna do another little like 3 of just like maybe some comedies or something, but I'm sticking it to Adam. No, I'm sticking to horror movies. So first one up that I would have to suggest, and this might be, especially too for Adam, because he's such like a sweet kid, might be a little too much for him, but it's nothing crazy like Human Centipede or Cannibal Holocaust or anything like that. But Jacob's Ladder, yes, because it's not, it's not a slasher movie, it's more psychological. And it's one of those movies that at the end, I feel like you can kind of, feel how you want about it, kind of come up with your own theory about what you had just seen. That's what I like about this movie, because I know in ways it's like, okay, I know this is kind of like what it really is supposed to mean, but in certain ways I'm kind of like, there's things that I feel like it allows you to sort of make your own decisions about, which I love. Oh, I am shutting. What the fuck is with all this hair in my mouth? Fuck. Anyway, second one up. Another one that I have to bring up, only because it is probably the first anthology movie I had ever seen. Or at least one of the first ones that I had ever seen, and really kind of made me fall in love with anthologies and checking out anthologies, movies and everything. So, but that is Creepshow, the first Creepshow. There is technically only 2. I know there's that third one, Creepshow 3, that I'm like the only one that can actually like tolerate that movie. But yeah, no one even considers that Creepshow 3 movie as part of Creepshow. You ask any horror fan, any true horror fan, you ask them how many Creepshow movies there are, there's 2. Second one, definitely watch the second one too. That's got only 3 stories, but it's some pretty stellar, in my opinion, stories. I'm just saying. I like the wraparounds more in the first one. I'm just saying. Last and final movie I would suggest. I would say you could go ahead. I would also recommend the remake of this movie that I'm about to mention. But for this video, I am suggesting the original Night of the Living Dead. That movie, I mean, once again, I know I've talked about that movie before, both versions, because in my opinion, there's really only one remake, and that's the Tom Savini remake from 1990. Um, but just like what can I even say about that movie that hasn't already been said between the social commentary, racial commentary, and everything, the empowerment, just all these different things, and I feel like the remake. I know Savini didn't do everything that he wanted to for that one, just kind of like how Romero kind of felt with like the first one a little bit. But I feel like he did do. He kind of corrected some things, I should say. I don't know if I want to say corrected, but he did some things that like a lot of people kind of wanted to see in the first one. For example, the Barbara character in Savini's remake was much more stronger and definitely took the bull by its horns and everything, and you did not lose anything with Tony Todd's performance compared to Dwayne Jones' performance between the remake and the original. So I'm just saying, I'm just saying. So that is definitely one, especially for a youngster like Adam. Like I think he would love that movie, especially in college, dude. Because you get a little bit like, you know, you're aware of like social things and like past social things. I'm just saying. Anyway, number 7. How long is too long for a movie's duration? Does the movie's length depend on the genre? Here's the thing. I think the genre itself, it kind of depends on the movie itself. Like some movies, like one of the first movies that kind of came to me was something like Goodfellas or Casino, where they're so long, but I almost feel like there's really no kind of wasted storylines and plots and like things between characters, that it almost sometimes doesn't feel like 2 hours. At least for me, like it depending on the day if I'm really like wanting to be in that movie or watch that movie, or if I keep getting distractions. But no, it's like, those movies are really good. So those are good examples of like, yeah, sometimes longer is better. I mean, I know some people are kind of like, as long as it's like about an hour and a half and not longer or anything and not shorter. Yeah, there's some people like that. For me, I feel like it doesn't really matter to me. I feel like as long as, if you're going to have a long movie, as long as there's a reason for it to be so long, and there's no like wasted scenes or wasted information in these movies, then I can warrant it to be, like a 2-hour movie or 2.5 hour movie, 3-hour movie or whatnot. And there's some movies that, are only like an hour and 10 minutes, and it's like, oh, that's such a quick one. But it's like, it works. So, like, certain movies, when it's really super short like that, it works. And I feel like if you would have tried to add another 20 minutes on to a certain movie, it would just, like, bring it down completely and, like, not even... Yeah, it would just water down the movie. So I think it just depends on if you actually have the substance and the good writing and story and no wasted sort of like scenes and characters. Duration kind of should be depending on that. So, but hey, what else? Whatever's. Numero 8. Horror aside, what other genres pique your interest and why? So I mean, obviously there's so many different types of movies that I like. A lot of, very much sort of like how I like my horror movies. For most part, there are certain subgenres of horror that I really like, and certain ones where I'm like, I like a couple, but not necessarily the whole, like, genre itself. For example, like, vampire movies, zombie movies, werewolf movies. Like, there's a couple from each of those that I absolutely love, but for the most part, genres themselves are not totally up my alley. Same thing sort of with the, with like other genres, but 3 of the genres that I absolutely love and I do often by myself, like sort of visiting, are first one up, comedies. Obviously I love comedies. There's many horror comedies that I like, but I mean I really like some of the like old school classic comedies such as Fast Times at Ridgemont High, things of that nature, or even like Clueless I kind of like, but I definitely prefer Fast Times at Ridgemont High. I think Amy Heckerling just did a better job I mean, I shouldn't say she did a better job. She did an excellent job capturing and encapsulating the essence of those times and stuff and those cultures of high school students. Yeah, same director did that movie, wrote, I think, and directed them. But yeah, so, but I mean, I like it. I like Fast Times more. So things like that, or Empire Records and stuff. But I also really like the kind of like more of like the slapstick sort of comedies, such as like the airplane movie or the airplane movies. Yeah, Naked Gun movies, things of that nature, or Drop Dead Gorgeous. And also too, I really kind of like this sort of like the kind of dark comedies. Like I know Drop Dead Gorgeous has a little bit of dark comedy. It's, I guess I would classify that as a dark comedy light. I'm just saying, like, if you're just kind of getting into it, it's a little, it's a bit morbid and everything at times, but nothing where you're gonna be like, oh my god, what the fuck is wrong with people type of thing. So yeah, I mean, those type of movies, those type of comedies are golden to me. So yeah, whatever. Next one that I do really love, the next genre is documentaries. You guys know that who've been watching me for a while. I will watch a documentary on literally paint drying. That's how much I freaking love documentaries. I do go through my like periods. I kind of have been semi going through a little bit of a documentary binge lately. Like, I'm in a weird sort of like binging. I've been binging like a lot of different things because I'm just like I don't know how to manage life right now with everything that's going on. So like my head's all over the place. But I've been kind of getting a little bit into a little bit of a documentary modes right now. So who knows? Maybe I'll get some more documentaries up for you guys. I don't know. I'm just saying. But yeah, I love documentaries. Documentaries I think are golden. Numero 3 of my genres. Now this is gonna be one that's kind of like, because I don't even know if like the second one of this is necessarily even considered a genre, but I kind of tacked it on with this, but the next one I'd have to say is dramas / coming of age movies, because I mean, like, yeah, coming of age movies, like, there's so many coming of age movies. I brought up Stand By Me earlier and everything, but I mean, it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, I love me a coming of age story. Like, I was watching The Cure a couple weeks ago with the kid from Radio Flyer and Jurassic Park and fuck, what's his name? A little heartthrobs back in the day. It's like literally like right in front of me too. There it is. Brad Renfro. I don't know. I can think of his name. Whatever. Yeah, like I just watched that again for the second time since owning it. I've seen it a number of times before that, obviously. But yeah, like that, I just love that little movie. Angus is another one that I absolutely love in terms of like coming of age type of stories and everything. So I mean, because I mean, a lot of these usually are kind of like, you know, drama anyway. So, but I do like dramas as well. Like I love like The Warriors. I kind of consider that partially a coming of age story because it's got a group of young gentlemen, one of which Swan wants to break free from all this, or not? Yeah, Swan. But yeah, you know, and then I mean, like other dramas that I love, you know, such as like, The Fugitive, The Warriors I just mentioned, The Wrestler. Like, there's so many dramas that I do absolutely love. So yeah. I'm just saying. Oh my god, we're coming up in like on a half an hour, dude. You guys, I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. Like I said, I told you, I gave you a warning. But anyway, number 9. This was one that really kind of was stumping me because I was like, ooh, you know. But that is, if you had to choose 3 things that a horror film must have, what would it need in order to be considered a horror movie? Yeah, see, I know. That's why, like, I was kind of being stumped for a couple of days. Because like every time I would think of something, I was like, well, no, you can kind of see this in like other genres and stuff. But it's at one point I was like, you know what, screw it. I know this is another one of those questions where people do this. I'm really kind of curious to see like what other people would kind of put. And I know some of them I'm gonna be like, oh my god, that's genius. Why didn't I think of that? So, but some of the stuff that I personally put are, or at least that I kind of like seeing in horror movies, is the sort of like suspense and fear aspect of it. Like as an audience member, if you can kind of like almost like put yourself in that environment with a character and be like, ooh, and just have that sense of fear and everything along with those characters that we're following for the 90 minutes or whatever is, oh, it helps so much, so much. Obviously, like some sort of like monster or threat. I mean, obviously, like there's like the monsters of like traditional monsters like Freddy, Jason, Godzilla, King Kong and stuff. But even just like more like humanistic monsters, such as like the Stepfather movies or the Good Son. To have those kind of monsters who literally could be in your home or like next door to you, and it's like that sometimes really creeps me out. Or something like the first Strangers movie, where it's like because I think that that's so real and like that does happen and everything. So like stuff like that, just so certain threats like that and stuff and monsters like that really, at least for me, make a good horror movie. So I'm just saying. And then the third and final one for this, for this question is the score. Like, you have to have a really good score. Perfect example. I know it's one that a lot of us horror fans have heard over time, with John Carpenter talking about Halloween and kind of showing like the first part of it to like the executives or something. She's like, it's not scary, dude. There's like, it's not scary. This is garbage. Realized he didn't have the score on it, so he put the score on it, brought it back the next day or whenever it was, showed it again, same exact, was like, oh my god, that is the most terrifying thing I've ever seen. So that's what I'm saying. Like, that's one reason why I like Candyman. Once again, going back to Candyman, where I love the score so much, because it kind of just it's almost like an appetizer. It starts pulling you in. It's almost like, I'm curious, I'm coming to you, gets you in, and then you're like, so yeah. So, next one up, number 10. Why do people always have to follow the blood, screaming, and not just run away? People are dumbasses. No, I mean, I know that's kind of usually the typical answer, that, just dumb characters. You gotta have the dumb character to, like, like, oh, we still got 20 minutes left. We need something, more of a threat. But I think at the end of the day, honestly, it's sort of human nature. Because you put one of us, like, if you put ourselves in a situation, of a character, like, kind of ask yourself, like, I would probably do the same thing, if I was in that position. I mean, this is kind of too, I don't want to say chuckle, because it's actually a serious thing, but literally, like 2 weeks ago, I had to do this training in our system, and it was an active shooter training, which, I mean, thank you, Target, for actually kind of, like, having trainings like this. I know it's kind of scary that we have stuff like this, but as a company kind of going through with their employees of, like, what to do in certain situations, like, in one of the questions in this, when I read this question, when Adam sent it to me, I kind of had to go back to this moment when I was doing my test or whatever, and one of my bakery guys was next to me. He was kind of like, what one of the answers is, like, you're supposed to do, and he's like, I don't get it, is that if you're running with a group and someone, like, falls behind or trips or something, you're supposed to just leave them there and, like, run. And, like, I was kind of joking with my HR people. I got cool HR people, and we're like, what? Like, I'm sorry, if one of you guys tripped, I'm not running out the door. I don't give a crud. I'm going back and drag you guys out by your hair if I have to. So, I mean, I had to kind of, like I said, I thought about that situation in the conversation with them, because I was like, it's just human nature. Like I said, if it God forbid, if there is ever a situation like that in my store, and someone does end up, like, falling, I'm going back. I don't care if I'm risking my life I'm gonna try and save one of my coworkers, whoever the hell it is. Maybe not whoever the hell it is, but pretty much I can guarantee I'm gonna go back and like rest of my life and try and save that worst person. Because I don't want to get out there and be like, what if I could have saved that person's life? You know, so I think it's kind of one of those sort of things that, like I said, it's just human nature. So because we are almost done. I'm on number 11 of 15, or I'm about to do 11 of 15. So we are almost there. Thank you for you guys who are, like, bearing through this with me. Once again, this is why I said, like, this would be perfect for, like, live stream or something. But anyway, number 11. What's the worst movie you've ever seen, and what would you do to make it better? I think most of you guys might know what this is if you've been following me for a while. And surprisingly, I'll say it right now, it's not Cabin in the Woods. I know I got some serious, like, hate on that movie and some, like, serious, like, issues with that movie. I mean, it's got a fan base. It's honestly, it's not, like, the worst thing I've ever seen. I think it's a joke. But the worst movie, and I've seen a lot of, like, worst movie type of movies for this title, for this to be a contender. But worst movie ever, Memorial Valley Massacre, aka Son of Sleepaway Camp. I often kind of bring this movie up. Kind of going back once again to Creepshow 3. Like I said, rightfully so, Creepshow 3, I know gets a lot of hate. Really, a lot of it, too, has to do with the fact that it's titled Creepshow 3. A lot of people don't like the movie because of, like, the humor and stuff in it. But which is kind of weird, because I feel like a lot of the humor, a lot of us kind of do, like, flock towards in a movie. So sometimes I'm kind of confused by that one. Like, I get it, but I'm like, give it a little credit. Like, I'm not saying you have to love it, but it's better than you guys are giving it credit for. So, like, literally, every time someone does bring up Creepshow 3, I'm like, no. This is my, oh, let me take out the card for you, and boom, on this. Yeah, Son of Sleepaway Camp, oh my god. And you want to know how to make that movie better? Burn the fuck out of it. Just burn it. I finally got rid of mine. Because I'm like, yeah, it literally, I've already done my little, like, review for and everything, franchise review and everything for Sleepaway Camp. So I'm like, you know what? I have absolutely no more use for this goddamn movie. Ever. So yeah. But yeah, that's the worst movie in my opinion. I'm just saying, at least horror-wise. So anyway, numero 12. If you could make the movie of your dreams, what would it be? Be as specific or generic or general as you'd like, you guys. So if you want to really kind of go into detail, awesome. If you want to be kind of slightly vague like me. But something that, like, I've always kind of, like, thought about, especially, too, when it's, like, around the holidays, like, Thanksgiving week, Black Friday, and and I'm not saying it has to be, like, necessarily, like, in a Target, but maybe get, like, a Target or a Walmart, or maybe, like, a Cabela's, or just some sort of, like, retail store that opens up for Black Friday, and I got sort of two scenarios, one of which is one that, either one we've seen a million times, but the first one would be maybe sort of like a zombie outbreak or a virus outbreak. Have it be I always kind of envision it as, like, maybe a little more comedic, sort of like Shaun of the Dead, or sort of like Chillerama with, like, the wraparounds and stuff. But it's like, once again, I feel like we've done that so many times, and I feel like that would just be, like, so compared to Shaun of the Dead. But I wouldn't mind it being a little more serious, and have, like a female Ash Williams or something, I'm just saying. But the other sort of kind of take on that still would be Black Friday and everything, and what do you know, there's, like, a serial killer or something, and no one really knows it until, like, things start happening, like, say, coworkers start, like, missing or something, or, like, I don't know, someone, like a guest who is going shopping for Black Friday deals is killed and perched on top of a Christmas tree. No, like, it's shit like that, you know? I mean, I don't know, like, I'm not saying, like, I want to see all, like, the people I work with, like, dead, but I think just because I'm in that environment, if that ever happened, I'd be like, shit just got real. Shit just got real. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying. That's another one, though. That's a question that I do want to hear from a lot of people and see what they say. So, but anyway, number 13. Are youngsters like me uncultured for not knowing about or having watched a movie that is considered a classic? Not by any means at all. No, I don't think people of that age or who are younger, significantly younger, um, are uncultured by any means. I think it just depends on like the environment and everything. Because like I think about it, like I'm the youngest of four. My closest sibling is about 3.5 years older than me or so, and then my brother is pretty much exactly 10 years older than me. So it's just a lot of the stuff that they were kind of watching and getting into, I was just kind of like hanging around and watching it with them. But honestly, like if I didn't do that, if they weren't around or maybe even closer in age to me, I probably would not have had as much coming in at me. I mean, I think of like things that I ended up getting into because growing up with my family, things such as like the program. I just bought that a few weeks ago. It's, you know, because of like them. So even something like The Craft that I actually ended up seeing with my sister one day because it was like on TV or something. We're like, oh hey, let's watch this. You know, so it's like a lot of that stuff that like just because they were kind of watching it, I kind of became a fan of it. So I think it just kind of depends on your environment and like what like maybe your siblings or your parents are sort of introducing you to. So just saying. So yeah, but I would never say like uncultured or anything. And plus, too, honestly, I have to say like, you know, especially with someone that once began talking about Adam, like sometimes like I'll reference a movie and he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. For example, I referenced like Back to the Future to him like a month ago, and he's like I have no idea. And I'm like, but it's like I get so excited because I'm like, oh my god, like Adam, you gotta watch this trilogy. Oh my god, it's totally up your alley. Like, so for someone like me, and I know other of you are like this, where it's like we get excited because we're like, oh my god, like you need, like we get excited to talk about it and introduce it to you guys. So I'm just saying. So number 14, last two questions, you guys. Once again, thank you for bearing with me. 14. Would you want to pursue a career in the movie making industry if given the chance, or do you like them more as a hobby? Well, I do love my movies as a hobby. I do enjoy checking stuff out, but honestly, you know, I actually was kind of just talking to my guy a few weeks ago, actually, when we went to go see The Invisible Man. I was telling him, I'm like, God, it'd be so, like, cool. Like, if I had to go back again and, like, do college again, I would love to, like, get into, like, the movie industry. Whether it would be, like, you know, writing my own scripts and stuff, or maybe even just doing something technical or whatnot. Like, there's so much to do, and just be around that, because there's so many different, like, people that get recognized and everything. It's not just actors. I mean, like, you have the writers, you have makeup artists, you have the directors and stuff that get so much acknowledgement and everything. Not saying that I would want to do it for the fame, but it's just I'm seeing how, like, people are getting acknowledged for their work and, like, their bodies of work and stuff. So I think it'd be really cool to help someone sort of be part of their vision making and everything, and seeing something come to life. You know, I think that'd be awesome. I would love to do that. I mean, heck, maybe I should go back to school. I don't know. I'm just saying. But anyway, last and final question, you guys. Once again, thank you for sticking this out with me. Number 15. What modern horror movie would you suggest to older generations? I know this is probably going to be a popular answer, or at least I feel like it might be, but I would have to say Trick or Treat from 2007, technically it's 2009. Just because, I mean, that's a more modern anthology. Like I said earlier, I love anthology movies because of like the Creepshow movies, Tales from the Dark Side, whatnot. But yeah, I love, and it's not like the traditional. I know other anthologies have kind of done this format. Creepshow 3, once again, not to, no, I mean, I didn't think I was going to be bringing that one up that much either, but it's sort of like the same way where all the movie or all the stories are kind of like vaguely linked and everything. So I like that because I feel like you gotta have a really creative and smart mind to be able to do that and get all the characters kind of where they need to be at like these different times in the story and movies. So, but yeah, I mean, that's one of like the more modern ones. I feel like there are like other a lot of great modern movies to sort of introduce to the older audience. But like I said, I want to kind of see what you guys think of. So, but anyway, you guys, so that is our tag. I don't even know what the heck I'm going to call this. We're going to call this, since we're all pretty much grounded, this is the Grounded Horror Tag, created by the Atoms. That's what we call them at work, so I'm just saying. So Adam, thank you so much, and thank you for being patient for me in doing this. I'll see you back in work in like 2 weeks, buddy. Hold on the fort for me, man. I'm just saying. Till next time, as always, stay creepy, classy, and a little bit sassy.